Baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. And since the Blue Jays started making deals around the deadline, they are 3-0, including taking the first 2 of 4 in this series with the Royals. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Brian Lefevre. Joel Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery are coming up in the next segment. The Royals still have the best record in the league, so most teams don't want to face them, and yet there are times when the Royals catch a team at the wrong time, and that might be the case here in Toronto.
Yeah, there's a lot of positive energy flowing in this city, a lot like in Kansas City, and it's transferring right down to those talented players that they acquired and the other guys, too. So it'll be interesting to see if the Royals can get through their offense. They've been really tough.
And it'll be Yordano Ventura on the mound today. If he could pitch today like he did on Sunday against Houston, the Royals are in great shape. He is our most trusted player. Brought to you by Honda.
Certainly has the stuff, but the correlation between the Astros and the Blue Jays, similar. They're home run power hitting teams. Ventura did the job with his secondary pitches. Stay out of the middle of that fastball. Work in that changeup and curveball just like that. He should be okay. Give him some runs off Burley. That would be helpful.
Ned Yost last night made some moves that were out of character with his bullpen. Then we found out Wade Davis was not available. We'll get an update from Joel and Monty when we come back.
Jays, the D and HDH was not available last night. Joel Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery, Wade Davis, back stiffness. And now as we see, Monty, in our University of Kansas hospital injury report, Wade Davis playing catch this morning. Can we expect him in there?
Well, we saw him playing catch. That looked fine. I think the key is how is he going to respond to that hour and a half or 2 hours until game time? We'll see. They may not know until the first or second inning if he's available or not.
Ned said maybe a game-time decision, or yes, possibly even later. He was getting treatment after playing catch. Yordano Ventura can go deep in the game and do his part. First pitch coming up next.
Play gives back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. And by your Kansas City Chevy dealers, drop in for great deals on all the new 2015 vehicles today. Royals have lost 3 straight, but while doing so have only lost 1 game on their lead in the American League Central. Minnesota lost last night as well, so the Royals lead is 8, which is still the largest lead in the American League. The Royals have scored 5 runs in the first inning of this series with the Blue Jays, and they have struggled after the first inning, and that's good for them scoring in the first, because that is when Mark Buehrle is most vulnerable. His overall ERA is 3.29, but in the first inning it is 6.75.
Yep. Finding it away early is important, but it doesn't always tell the whole tale, especially against this powerful offense. They're never going to give in, and they're tough to the very last out. However, the Royals need to continue to push Buehrle, not overpowering. 84 miles an hour is his average fastball speed. Cut fastball, changeup, and curve. Mainly fastball, cutters, and changeups to righties. He relies on finesse and command. Location. Works extremely quick.
One hop to Donaldson, and when Buehrle's on, the left side of the infield is usually busy. Look at the Blue Jays defensive lead. Ben Revere acquired yesterday from the Phillies. The Phillies were just here before the Royals were. And normally a center fielder, John Gibbons said that Kevin Pillar has earned the right to be the everyday center fielder, so Ben Revere will play in left for the Blue Jays.
And that suits Rivera okay. He's been playing a lot of left field for the Phillies this year. More left than center. Pillar hasn't missed a game. He's played it in every single game. The Blue Jays.
Two 2-0 on Ben Zobrist. Got his first Royals hit in the 3-run first inning yesterday, driving in 2 of the 3 runs. He will bat second today. Mike Moustakas gets the day off with Buehrle on the mound. 3-1 to Zobrist.
Zobrist has had some good success against Buehrle.
And that ball's hit well to left field. Revere is back to the wall. Ben Zobrist hits his first home run as a Royal. And the Royals have scored again in the first inning. All 3 games of this series, and now in 5 of their last 7 games they have scored in the first inning.
Seeing Zobrist hit second in Ned Leos's lineup, it really looks good, especially with his ability to hit from both sides of the plate. He waited 3-1. He knew Buehrle was going to come in there. Rivera twisted him in knots and got him his first Royal homer. They're 7th on the season. Nice start.
Second career home run for Zobrist against Mark Buehrle. Now Kane pulls it foul.
And that was his first right-handed all year.
One and 2 on Lorenzo Kane.
Waited. 3-1. Nice easy swing. Didn't try to do too much and caught it just right underneath that ball.
A lot of foul territory, but that ball is back into the crowd. Still 1 and 2 on Lorenzo Kane. 3 for 8 in the first 2 games here, and he has scored 3 runs. Off the end of the bat. Bautista waits for it. 2 down. Now Mark Buehrle, he is familiar with that KC on the cap. This is his 56th game against the Royals, his 54th start. Only Bert Blyleven all time has more wins and starts against the Royals. Our Toyota League leaders for today. Bert Blyleven has 34 wins against the Royals. Burley has 26. Bert Blyleven made 65 starts against the Royals as Hosmer hits it hard to the second baseman Kawasaki, who is just called up. The inning is over, but Ben Zobrist has driven in 3 in the first inning the last 2 games. Toronto debut. Troy Tulowitzki is out of the lineup. Ryan Goins will play at shortstop. Munenori Kawasaki will be at second base. All to face Yordano Ventura. Kia puts us in the driver's seat. Hud, we just talked about this at the top of the show, that maybe too many fastballs for Yordano Ventura this year, and the numbers will say too many four-seam fastballs.
Yeah, and it's such an overpowering pitch. It's hard not to use it. But if he uses it effectively, it can really set up his other pitches, that curve and changeup. And the four-seamer is going to come into play today against these guys. A power-hitting team, he's got to get that ball inside on them. There you go. Jam them. Don't let these guys get extended. And then mix in some secondary pitches like he did against Houston. A similar type team he beat in his last outing. Powerful. He used a lot of good breaking balls, but he set those breaking balls up with that extreme fastball. He's got the stuff to do it. He's got to be able to command. When he commands, he's tough to hit.
Zobrist in left field will take care of Revere. As we look at the Royals defensively today, presented by Ford. Zobrist back out in left for a third straight game. Chesler Cuthbert will be at third base with Mike Moustakas out of the lineup today. How about that? The Royals are 5-0 when Cuthbert starts a game.
Sure looks comfortable on defense. Has a very short stroke with his throwing arm and is very accurate.
Nice easy 94 miles an hour to Josh Donaldson. And man, what a series he's had. He had the walk-off hit last night. It was his third walk-off this year and his 9th in the last 3 years, which is the most in the major leagues. All he's done is turn in 4 extra base hits and drive in 5 in the first 2 games of the series. Hit hard to Cuthbert. 2 down. Well, Ventura never did go to AAA, but it's hard not to wonder what effect that had on him, knowing that he was headed to AAA Omaha. Then Jason Vargas was lost for the year, so the Royals had the ability to call him right back up. And the result was dramatic in that Sunday win against Dallas Keuchel and the Astros, and Ventura gave up just 1 run, no walks in 7 innings.
Well, with his talent, he had to know that he's going to factor in with his team this season, but he knew management weren't going to be patient with him if he's going to go out there and give some runs up with runners in scoring position over the middle. They would do it again. Nice
he has
burst.
an 8-pitch 1-2-3 bottom of the first inning. Scouting Lonnie Goldberg right behind him. Both, I'm sure, have read Dayton Moore's book, More Than a Season. And now it's time for you to see all the pieces that were put together that culminated in Game 7 of the World Series last year. For $25, you can get an autographed copy of Dayton's book, and 100% of the proceeds support Dayton's charity, See You in the Major Leagues. Morales hits it up into the sun, and Smoke makes the play. 1 down. Mark Burley faced the Royals right before the All-Star break at Kauffman Stadium. It was the only game that Toronto won, and in that game the Royals got a run in the first like they did today and didn't score again until the 7th inning. And the Royals lately have been scoring in the first inning, but then the offense has really kind of tailed off for several innings after that. So they're trying to break that trend today. 1-1 on Salvador Perez. Okay, here you go. 6 runs and a .429 average in the first inning, but just .141 for an average after the first inning, as Pilar brings it down in center field. 2 down.
Yeah, hard to explain that particular scenario there, but the Royals, you know, they're competing in their at-bats, and in these first 2 games I've noticed that they've really tried to hit the long ball. I don't know if their swing's a little bit longer or if they're trying to juice it over the wall, but it just seems like that's kind of taken them out of their run production style of getting on, get them over, you know, a little frenzy style hits, doubles, singles. And we'll see if they can just focus on finding holes against Burley and not necessarily trying to hit homers. It's not what they do.
Snap bat, and Goins, nice play to get Rios. That's a 7-pitch inning for Burley right after Ventura had 8 in the bottom of the first. first inning. Our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. We'll come back to this. I think what I get from these numbers, because the point of it, the moral of it, is that the numbers aren't much different this year compared to last year. With one exception, he has walked fewer, which is normally a good thing. And I'm not advocating that he should walk more hitters, but maybe too many fastballs and too many fastballs for strikes.
Yep. A little more predictable, as Encarnacion swinging at the first pitch, believing a fastball was coming. But he just is continue to work with Salvador Perez and find the best time to use that pitch, especially with runners on.
Three and one to Encarnacion. He's been out of the lineup for a few games with a injured finger on his left hand. He returned to the game last night. Had a couple of hits, a walk, and a run scored.
Likes that ball middle in, pull hitter.
Got him to chase a fastball up at 96. Ventura wants it, but that would break a rule. So Cuthbert comes over to get it. He even had his glove up there, shading his eyes.
Oh yeah, you know he wants in the action. We've seen Ventura be very aggressive on any foul balls in play or anything close to the line. Sometimes it's good that the offense or the defensive players are letting him know that we'll take it.
Now Justin Smoke with one down. Changeup is inside to the switch hitting Smoke, who has a home run off of Yordano Ventura. Back with another changeup, and that was a pitch that gave Smoke fits last night. Cueto struck him out twice with a changeup. Smoke ended up striking out 3 times in the game. And that's stroked into right center field, but Rios is there to make the play. Coming up in 2 weeks, we'll have Retro Night at Kauffman Stadium. We're bringing back the 1980s with this, and again, I'm reading the script, totally righteous event. The first 10,000 fans through the gates receive this powder blue replica retro jersey, courtesy of Fox Sports Kansas City. The popular 80s cover band, the Zeros, will be there. Live organ music throughout the game and other special programming. Royals.com/retro night for tickets. Deanna Navarro gives Russell Martin a second game off in this series, at least from his work behind the plate. Yordano Ventura tells Mark Burley, I can play the quick pitch contact game. He's needed only 20 pitches to get through the first 2 innings. A reminder as you enjoy a cold one to look forward to Miller Time later in today's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Cuthbert's been somewhat of a good luck charm for the Royals. They are 5-0 in his starts this year, starting at third base today.
And the Royals are 21-12 in day games. Blue Jays 21-18. Both teams playing good when they wake up and play. I love it.
Didn't mean to. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Cutters in on righties, changeups away. Occasional curveballs he'll flip up there.
Up the middle. Goins is at shortstop today. He gets Cuthbert. All right, Royals fans, time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag KCDataStrongFan. You just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast, as in today, brought to you by T-Mobile. That is hashtag KCDataStrongFan. A little bit inside to Omar Infante.
Bright sun will be a factor today defensively, but mainly on the right side of the infield. Sun's on the third base side. See, it's pretty much the shadows are right underneath the players, but on the left side it's not as much. It's not directly into the sun.
To center field, Pilar is there. 2 down in the third inning. Mark Burley is 36 years old. That kind of sounds young, doesn't it? He's been around forever.
Yeah, very impressive for a guy who's been around as long as he has. He's never been on the disabled list. 14 consecutive seasons with over 200 innings. To me, that's mind-boggling. Just, you know, he has a great throwing stroke. Obviously, his mechanics has never let him down to get injured with his shoulder, elbow. You know, he gets it. He's not overpowering. He knows himself. Really stays within himself and just uses his defense. And look how quickly he works. Infielders don't have time to do anything but focus on catching that ground ball that's coming to him.
Escobar opened the game with a ground ball to third base. Mark Burley was a 38th round pick of the White Sox. Base hit left field. Goins only came up 10 feet short with that dive on the left side.
Yeah, he's got to get all those ground up tire treads from out of his sleeves and everything. And
that's more like 9 feet. Sorry about that.
You know, I think he did that for Mark Burley. Look at him. He's trying to get all that rubber, ground up rubber out of his glove.
Big curve to Zobrist in for a strike. Ben Zobrist hit his first home run as a Royal in the first inning. It was his second career home run against Burley.
What I noticed after Zobrist hit the home run is the way he sat the bat down. And we talked about how he's not a flashy player, not a lot of chrome, Joe Madden says, which is a compliment, but that really showed it right there. I mean, he set the bat down when he hit the homer almost like he didn't want to wake the children up. He just set the bat down on the ground and ran the bases.
Cutter comes through the back door. That's Burley's first strikeout. We go to the bottom of the third, 1-0 Royals. Call 1-800-PICK-ATT. By Panera Bread, avoid the lines. Order online with rapid pickup at delivery.panerabread.com. And by your Midwest Ford dealers, visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. Beautiful Lake Ontario, and we have had gorgeous weather on this trip. Starting in Cleveland for 3 days and now in Toronto for 4 with the roof open. Royals will head to Detroit after the game tomorrow and will play Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday there. Kevin Pillar, good looking curveball for a strike from Yordano Ventura.
I think you throw it that good for strike one, might as well double up with it.
Which he did.
Oh, how about the third time in a row? Give him 3 yaks.
Maybe this one out of the strike zone.
There you go. I like that better. Let's see what Salvi wants.
Salvi wants him to shake off a couple of times. Yep, out of the strike zone.
Oh, they go. Oh, yeah. 3 hammers in a row, and Pillar's backing up saying, look, that's not fair. You can't do that to me. Fastball hitter. You find that release point on a field pitch like that, why not throw it? It's the toughest one to hit. Got to go. Pillar.
Now Munenori Kawasaki, who is a fan favorite. Boy, they just loved him here last year. Plays with a lot of energy. Called up from the minor leagues today. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Fourth stint this year here. Up and down, up and down.
Little tardy with that fastball. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Ventura, watch how easy the ball comes out of his hand. I mean, what a gift. This young man, I mean, to be able to generate that type of velocity and not that big a frame tells me he's got extreme mechanics and he's been blessed. No question with a gift. And he's utilizing it. And he's following Salvi's lead. And the biggest thing that he's doing is he's pitching with conviction. He's executing his pitches with confidence. He's got a good mindset right now. He wants to keep that. He's got a good rhythm today. And he could pretty much knock the bat out of Kawasaki's hand. Heater right down the middle. Challenge it. There you go. Got a man there.
Hit hard but out. 2 down. Ventura's retired the first 8. DraftKings gives us the players to watch. Ben Zobrist was a good pick with a home run off of Mark Burley. Andrew Heaney, 4-0 in the month of July, 5-0 in his first 6 starts with the Angels.
They need him to step up against the Dodgers today. Angels going through a little losing spell.
Ryan Goins bats 9th. He is the Blue Jays shortstop today. Drafted by the Blue Jays out of Dallas Baptist, which is where Ben Zobrist went to school, at least where Zobrist finished up his college career. Two balls, 1 strike.
It's also nice to see Ventura not recoiling. After he throws some pitches, he would swing his front right leg up in the air. He's controlling his body very well.
Well, we know how he feels about Johnny Cueto, and he wants to pitch well with Cueto here.
That's a good pitch, man.
And he watched Cueto free and easy last night. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
That angle, see, that's a nice downhill angle. And Johnny Cueto might be the only guy in royal blue disappointed with his outing yesterday. I don't think anybody else is. I would imagine that he says, I got some better action for you next time.
Ended up with a quality start. Although a pitcher of his caliber, I don't know if 3 runs in 6 innings, if he would consider that a quality start. He struck out 7. Hosmer backs up to get a big hop. Ventura goes to the bag, and Yordano Ventura opens the game with 3 perfect innings. (27th) for Business Day at the K. The event will feature a pregame presentation by Royals general manager Dayton Moore, network opportunities and snacks, $10 loaded value to be used for food and beverage throughout the ballpark, and of course watch the Royals and the Orioles August 27th. To participate, you must purchase a special ticket package at royals.com/business. 1-1 on Lorenzo Cain. He flied to right in the first inning. And now fly ball to center field. Cain is 0 for 2. He balances his books. I remember when he first came up, a lot of managers did what was typical, and that would be load up your lineup with right-hand batters. Burley was a sensation. The league hadn't figured him out. But then they discovered that his best pitch was that cutter, and that you were playing right into his strengths by loading the lineup with right-hand batters. So teams like the Royals started putting more left-hand batters in there because he doesn't have one of those knee-buckling breaking balls. So Burley had to adjust and improve against left-hand hitters. Off of Burley, and he kicks it perfectly to Donaldson, and teams around the league have been watching the Royals do that, so they've been practicing to get that ricochet play down, and that goes 1-5-3, and that hit Burley solid. The Blue Jays are hoping solid on his shoe.
But if you ask Burley if he'd rather let that ball go through for a hit and not hit him, he would have said, sure, I don't need that.
So Morales waits, and we go to our AT&T U-verse Rewind. Kendrys Morales in this series.
Doesn't matter where it's pitched. Look at that. Slice and dice that left field line. That was a big key to that third run. And how about that slide? That was special. Nice sacrifice fly. You put a runner out there anywhere near scoring position, he's going to do his best to get it in, and that's exactly what they pay him for. Drive him in.
4 runs driven in the series. He is second in the league in that category, second highest total in that category. Well, Burley says he's fine. We'll see. Outside to Morales. He popped out to Smoke at first in the second inning. One and one. They were expecting around 40,000 here at Rogers Center. It looks smaller than that because his ballpark holds over 50,000, so there's a lot of empty seats. I mean, that can be deceiving. A lot of empty seats might tell you that, well, nice crowd, but it's still a big number. This place was responsible for 3 consecutive seasons where the Blue Jays drew 4 million fans. Not 2, not 3, 4 million. And when they opened this place, the Blue Jays were pretty good. Won the division in 1989. First year they opened it up. And then playoffs in 91, and then World Series in 92 and 93. Revere to the wall. Don't know if that leap was necessary, but the crowd loves it.
Wow. Good effort. Knew exactly where he was.
Vote for the Royals Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com. You'll be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House as we begin a new month. Last month was another winning one for the Royals. They went 17 and 11 in July, and going back to last season, that is now 6 consecutive winning months, which ties a team record. And candidates for Royals Player of the Month: Lorenzo Cain. He led the league in runs scored in July. Eric Hosmer led the American League, hitting .385 in July. Ben Revere takes a strike. 9 up, 9 down for the Blue Jays against Yordano Ventura.
Yep, he's got nice rhythm. Stuff, executing, all that stuff. Good fastballs in. Staying out of the corners, or staying out of the middle.
Revere is 0 for 2. Sundays at Kauffman Stadium have something for the entire family. Prior to every Sunday home game, Family Fun Day will feature face painters and balloon artists, an entertaining DJ, and player autographs atop the Royals dugout. And then after the game, kids under 14 can run the bases during the Skippy Fun Run. The first 500 kids in line get a Skippy t-shirt. And the next Family Fun Day Sunday is coming up on the 9th against the Chicago White Sox. Donaldson hit it hard and grounded out to Cuthbert at third in the first inning, and does the same thing again. Hosmer had to go up to get it, and Ventura has knocked down the first 11 Blue Jays. And now Jose Bautista out on a ground ball to short in the first inning. Pitching to contact is what's working so far for Ventura. It has been working for Danny Duffy since he came back from the disabled list. Ventura has 1 strikeout against the first 11 batters today. And now he's 0-2 on Bautista.
There's some 99 right there. That had some wicked sink. Fouled it off his foot. That was really a super moving 99-mile-an-hour fastball. Got him on his back leg. Tells me it was always deep on him. So he wants this one elevated. No, I guess not.
He has thrown 41 pitches, and 25 have been 95 or faster. There's the first base hit. Hit so hard that Bautista might have to hold with a single, and he does. And Zobrist played it perfectly off the left field wall.
Looking for the fastball. He got it. And the key is not to miss it when you get it. These guys don't. In the first 2 games of this series, every fastball that's been thrown by a pitcher by the Royals, it's been over the middle, and they have not missed it. So they're a hot hitting team. Ventura's perfect candidate to cool them off.
So 1 on 2 out to Edwin Encarnacion. Now, Hud, I bring this up every time when a pitcher has a great start to a game, when he has to go to the stretch, and Ventura to the stretch for the first time with 2 outs in the 4th inning. A lot of guys, it takes a while to get used to that, but Ventura basically pitches out of the stretch when he's pitching out of the windup.
It's very similar except for that hold right there. He's going to hold a little bit longer, and sometimes that could disrupt his rhythm.
So here's the windup. He basically just turns,
right
positions
there,
himself.
From right there on, it's the same. However, it's him holding. He's got to hold and come set, and he wants to try to deceive the runner. Although about Bautista, he's not worried about stealing.
Ooh, look out. Back-to-back 2-out hits for Bautista and Encarnacion.
Now he'll have to be careful with that pitch here. When runners get in scoring position, that's the one that's been giving him the most trouble. See how short he was with his swing right there? That was just a perfect swing.
Remember how upset Ventura gets when a ball goes whistling by him?
At least it did earlier this year
with Mike Trout. That led to the incident with the Angels with Mike Trout. The hard hit ground ball back to the mound by Adam Eaton in Chicago. Coincidence or not, he just had one whistle by his ear, and Salvador Perez went out and had a chat with him.
Yeah, and he looked calm. Execute. Hard in, soft away.
Fastball at 98 to Justin Smoke, and before Bautista's long single in this inning, Justin Smoke had the hardest hit ball against Ventura. He lined to right in the second inning. Royals are pulled way over to the right against Smoke, who lines it to right. Rios coming up, tried to play it on a short hop. A run will score. Bautista going on contact with 2 down. Encarnacion goes to third, and Justin Smoke drives in the Blue Jays' first run.
Everything's contagious. They're starting to get to him now, and a late break or a late read by Rios. Ball had topspin on it. He hesitated a little bit to get the read. Ball was high pitch, but he stayed up on top of it. Smoke. Look at how the ball's coming down, and Rios with just a little late read. Didn't quite watch him up and right. See how he hesitated just a little bit before he came in, but you know, in order to make those sinking plays, you have to come in directly on contact. But again, it's a difficult read, especially with a power hitter.
So after retiring 11 in a row to begin the game, now the Blue Jays have 3 straight hits. And first and third for Diano Navarro. Infield straightens up for the switch hitting Navarro. And a changeup fades outside for ball 1. It's outside. 2 balls and no strikes. With some bite. 2-1. Navarro hit one of the 3 Blue Jays home runs in game 1 on Thursday. Blue Jays won that game 5-2 and then beat the Royals last night 7-6 in 11. That's over Infante, and now it's 4 consecutive hits, and the Blue Jays take a 2-1 lead.
Hey, now it's the fastball that's getting him in trouble, and the same thing as we just showed you the numbers with runners in scoring position, why they're not just 300 but well above 300. It's because he's not locating that fastball. All these pitches have been right down the middle. That one was a little bit on the inner half, but still, that's a fastball firm. Needs to bring in the secondary pitches more when runners get in scoring position. A lot like the adjustment that Corey Kluber made against the Royals when he started against them on that Sunday game. Made some adjustments, and he did it with just throwing more off-speed pitches.
Ventura has 1 strikeout in 3 2/3, and that was Pilar, and he got him with a breaking ball down and away. So how much of that, now you say Ventura has to mix in his secondary pitches, how much of that is his responsibility and how much of that is Salvador Perez's responsibility?
A lot of it's Salvi. Salvi's the quarterback. He's the one who's calling. He knows a little bit more of the hitter's tendencies, but again, there's over the middle up, inner half to a lefty.
Jammed him. He made a good pitch. Cuthbert tried to go for the tag and then throws to first to get Pilar. 4 straight reach, 2 score, and the Blue Jays take the lead.
Detroit was up 6-0. Baltimore stormed back. Manny Machado hit his 22nd home run, and Baltimore ended up hanging on to win that game 8-7 here. Got to move quickly because Mark Burley is back on the hill. Guys, a scout from another team said to me before the game, I made dinner reservations for 4. I should be fine.
Because of Mark Burley. Well, we are in the 5th inning, and now he's pitching with the lead for the first time. Change up to Salvador Perez. Royals scored in the 1st inning on a Zobrist home run. And the Blue Jays just got RBIs from Smoke and Navarro in the bottom of the 4th inning.
Cutters in, change-ups away.
That's the right swing against Burley.
Yep. Try to stay inside if you can. I haven't seen Burley use too much of his curveball so far in this game.
Really heard you.
Yep.
He's a big fan of yours, you know, and with technology today, he's got a little earpiece.
No.
Wants to hear
He does not.
what you're saying about him.
No, he doesn't. He is a crafty lefty. Fits that term perfectly. He doesn't let anything bother him.
Smoke is out. Kawasaki is out, and Smoke brings it down. And since the Zobrist home run, now Burley has gotten 12 of the last 13 Royals.
This is what we've seen in this so far in this series here. The Royals get on the board early, and then they just kind of shut down. I think it's more of the pitchers making adjustments on the hitters than the hitters making adjustments.
I remember last night the Royals scored 3 runs in the 6th inning, or 2 runs in the 6th inning, 1 in the 7th, so they had a 3-run lead going into the bottom of the 7th, and the Blue Jays bullpen retired the last 13 Royals. One and one on Rios. Burley got him on a ground ball to short in the 2nd inning.
We talked about that 6.75 ERA in the 1st inning. That's when you have your most success against Burley.
And the thing about Burley, you know, those numbers there are good. They're not great. He has always given up a lot of hits. He's normally near the top in hits allowed every year because he throws so many strikes, throws so many innings. But it's how he buckles down with men on base and men in scoring position. That's what separates him. You know, you might get a base hit to lead off the inning, or maybe another hit after that. You got 2 on, 1 out, 2 on, nobody out, 2nd and 3rd, 1 out, and it's like he becomes a different pitcher.
He's able to minimize the damage with guys out there. It's because he's such a veteran pitcher and he has great command.
Goins makes the play. Royals down quickly. Now Burley's gotten 13 of the last 14 Royals. have been on fire lately in the first inning. It's just scoring after the first inning. It's been a challenge. Yordan Ventura pitching with the Blue Jays in front now. He got the first 11 Blue Jays, 11 up, 11 down, and then with 2 away in the 4th inning, Bautista singled, Encarnacion singled, Smoke singled, that scored Bautista, Navarro singled, that scored Encarnacion. And now he gets Kawasaki, Goins, and Revere.
Kawasaki's a solid defender. You can play him anywhere out there in the infield. He's kind of a spray type hitter. Hits the ball where it's pitched.
He chokes way up on the bat with 2 strikes. Don't see many guys do that anymore. It's one of the first things we learn in Little League, right?
Yeah, you know,
choke up, put the ball in play.
Yeah, that's what they tell you, and it gives you a little bit more balance with the bat. Stay shorter to the ball. Sometimes all the way down in the end, at top of that baseball bat gets a little bit heavy, a little top heavy, and you might overswing. Choke up gives you more balance.
To make room for Kawasaki, the Blue Jays designated Danny Valencia for assignment. Valencia played part of last year with the Royals. Zobrist back, and he's got to play. Second time that Kawasaki has lined to Zobrist today. Fox Sports Kansas City and the Royals invite KU fans to Kauffman Stadium August 16th. That's the Royals and the Angels. Buy a ticket through Royals.com/KU and then get to the game early for this Jayhawk themed Royals cap. And remember, that game on the 16th is a night game now to accommodate national television. So on your schedule, it's a Sunday afternoon game. Now it's a Sunday night game. Ryan Goins grounded out to Hosmer in the 3rd inning. A little frustrated. He's going to take a stroll to cool down.
Well, you mentioned they designated Valencia. Valencia's having a good season. He's got good numbers against lefties, 316, righties, 279. But when they got Ben Revere, he'd been playing a lot of the left field. You know, when you got Donaldson at 3rd base, there's really no spot for him. So they wanted to have Kawasaki as another option in there with the second baseman going on the disabled list with a sore shoulder. I don't know, is there a deeper or better diagnosis for the second baseman that went out?
No, just a sore shoulder. And Valencia seems to be one of those players that has an expiration date, which is too bad.
Yep.
That's Ventura's first walk. 1 on 1 out to Ben Revere. 0 for 2 in his Blue Jays debut. It was the second time this year, by the way, talking about Devin Travis, that he's been on the disabled list because of that left shoulder. Change up for a strike. 1-1.
We have Jeff Montgomery again, Monty, down there by the Royals dugout. And you know, Ryan and I were talking about the difference between his delivery on his with nobody on compared to when he goes into the stretch. And to me, it's just the pause and the delay, and that's the only difference. Monty, what do you see?
Well, he gets himself in the same position both from the windup and from the stretch, which is a very good thing. It creates that consistency you need. The thing I've noticed about him, he's changed. He's throwing a lot more fastballs this second time through the lineup. First time through the lineup, I saw him throw a lot of breaking balls, especially first pitches, and then he went to throwing more fastballs that second time through.
What's the call there? They call it a dead ball. Is it a foul ball?
The umpire's signal was foul ball. Scott Berry. So he's going to send Goins all the way back.
Well, hit the dirt. You can see the puff of dirt.
Hard to tell, but you know, home plate umpire Scott Berry, he made that foul ball sign right away. Well, he must have seen it or heard it.
And an umpire on a pitch like that, he can't see it. He's listening for it.
Right.
He's listening for the sound of the ball hitting the bat. Right to Kane in center field. Revere is 0 for 3, 2 down in the 5th inning. Let's listen in. See what Scott Berry was listening for. A little clicking sound.
It's a slight click.
So Goins at first, 2 down. Donaldson twice has grounded sharply to Cuthbert at third base. Now these guys, they have some beasts in their lineup. And now they have Tulowitzki, and then it's Donaldson, then it's Bautista and Encarnacion. This is the guy that scares me the most. I mean, he looks like he's going to hit a home run every time he comes to the plate.
His load. He loads up
like a pitcher.
His hips is as good as anyone. He picks up that leading foot and he really loads up those hips, and then he lets them fly. His hands and bat aren't too far behind it. Look at that load. That's a beautiful load, and he's explosive. And the hips turn before the hands come through, and he's got that swing down. He knows exactly where to catch that ball up underneath.
He has driven in 7 in this series, and this is game 3, and we're only in the 5th inning. And now Bautista jumps on a hanging breaking ball. And once again, the Blue Jays are playing home run derby here at Rogers Center. There are times I would swear they know what's coming.
That hanging curveball, though, hitters don't need a lot of help with that. When they see that curveball start up around their head, they know it's going to come down in a good hitting spot, able to pick up that rotation. But the Royals pitchers were able to keep them in the yard last night, and they still couldn't beat them. Today they got the bats out again, the long ball bats. Amazing. 11 straight retired by Ventura. First 3 innings. 3 2/3 anyway. And all of a sudden, the hits started happening, and they started getting a little bit more comfortable. And the offense started saying, all right, we can get him. And they're doing it.
6 for their last 9 since he retired 11 in a row. And going back to the Donaldson home run, and we've been talking quite a bit this year about Ventura's struggles with men on base. The Blue Jays are 4 for 6 with a man on base. That's the biggest difference between Ventura this year and last year. He got better once men got on base last year, and even better with runners in scoring position. And this year it's been the reverse. Three and one to Encarnacion. Swing. According to first base umpire Jim Wolf.
Yeah, we made an attempt.
And now a walk. Ventura second, both in this inning. There is nobody warming up in the Royals bullpen as smoke comes up. And Ned Yost has done this before with a young pitcher. It would be easy to pull Ventura out of the game right now, but in the long run, and the Royals need Ventura for him to get through this and to figure something out to get out of the 5th inning, maybe pitch through the 6th. In the long run, that's more important than going out and rescuing him.
It was hard to believe that they jumped on him so quickly like they did. Now, Mark Burley, he's 5-1 in his 8 starts here at Rogers Center this year. Largely because of that 8.94 runs of support that he's gotten. And I didn't think that he would get 8 runs, but at least 5 anyway makes Burley even more difficult. Because he just gets that rhythm going, and the Royals offense got to find a way to get back in this.
They have 4 more at bats against Burley, and now they're down by 4. Remember Wednesday nights, student nights and local music showcase at Kauffman Stadium, presented by Inc. Magazine. You can mingle with friends and enjoy food and drink specials just for students in the outfield experience, and listen to live music from local Kansas City bands. Coming up on the 12th, against the Tigers. It's music from Grizzly Hand. And get those $8 tickets now at the box office or Royals.com/student night. Omar Infante, Alcides Escobar, and Ben Zobrist coming up. It's our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Paula Chancellor from Smithville. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Paula wins $1,300. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, then Paula wins $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals. Off the end of the bat, and Revere comes up in left field.
Burley now is starting the third time around for him facing the Royals, and he's been bringing in the curveball a lot more here. First time through, he didn't use that hardly at all. Mainly cutters and changeups. Now he's bringing more curveballs in first pitches, trying to keep their eyes level off of that cutter inside.
Escobar has one of the Royals' 2 hits against Burley. There's that curve again. With 1 out in the first inning, Zobrist homered, and since then Mark Burley has retired 15 of 16. The only man who has reached along that stretch is Escobar with a 3rd inning single. That's a little bit inside, and I mean a little bit inside. 1-2.
Cutter staying right in there on righties.
Burley has won Gold Gloves in his career. That was not a Gold Glove play. He bobbled it, and then he did make a very good throw. Burley has 4 Gold Gloves, and he is hit with an error. 1 on, 1 out. Let's go to Joel.
All right, Ryan, you talked about Ben Zobrist and his career numbers. We saw the home run earlier. He actually faced Mark Burley less than 2 weeks ago with the Oakland A's. In that game, a strikeout, a flyout, and an infield hit. And he said that really the biggest key is trying to find something in the middle and up. The problem is there are a lot of days where Burley will never give you anything in the middle, in which case he said you've got to pick a side and just hope for the best with it. He said that he makes every single pitch look the same. And one of the biggest keys, he said, with Burley, and we see this so often, you can't get big against him. That oftentimes is a problem for the Royals, perhaps something that has helped Zobrist.
Who slices it up the right field line, and Bautista dives, and he missed it. Escobar will go to 3rd. Zobrist was on his way to 3rd. He had to hit the brakes. Escobar was not sure whether Bautista was going to make that play, so he didn't get to 3rd base as quickly as he would have liked to, and the Royals have 2nd and 3rd with 1 out.
It's just what Joel Goldberg was talking about. You can't get big, and what he means by that is a big swing. You can't really wind up. Look at that. That's a short, compact, I'm going to hit it where you ain't swing. Beautiful stroke. Ball was slicing. Bautista with a nice effort. Zobrist alertly watching the runner ahead of him. Some guys put their head down assuming that he's going to score. Escobar didn't get a good read on it, so it's a good thing he didn't overrun him. They would have gotten an easy out here. Royals got to get a base hit right here with a runner in scoring position.
But I want to talk more about Burley. And, you know, we've known since he got to the big leagues back in 2001 that he works fast. How much of that is part of his so-called stuff? You know, I mean, does he make the hitter anxious and antsy at the plate?
Yeah, you know, you feel the pressure as a hitter when a guy's up there standing there and he's waiting. So what you do is if you're uncomfortable, you slow play it. You back out of the box. You hit on your terms. So if he gets on your nerves and you feel like he's pressing you, you just take your time. And
Royals will take that.
Cutter inside, he'll take it.
Because I'm wondering if Burley, let's say Burley was a slow worker, right? And you had time to step out of the box, maybe with the old rules,
right?
Kind of think about what he's doing. He's got a slow tempo. I wonder if his so-called stuff would be as effective as it is, you know, when he's just breathing down your neck. And as soon as you get in the box, I mean, he's ready to pitch. I mean, I wonder how much, like, if you were to rank it as far as a percentage, I mean, is that half of his effectiveness?
That's his part of his rhythm. I would say yes, that's part of his game. And some guys, they posture, they take their time. It's a little bit different mentality for them. But Burley, he's ready to pitch. And I think that goes right along with his stuff. Royals gotta get something out of this.
That was a good take by Hosmer. He's hit the ball hard twice against Burley. He's 0 for 2. All right, Paula Chancellor. Everyone in Smithville is excited with the bases loaded in our Sonic Slam inning. And the Royals down by 4. Oh, that was the pitch right there. 85 and up and out over the plate.
Yep. Pull his head a tad. You really got to tell yourself to wait on Burley. Hosmer's dangerous to the opposite field. Again, Blue Jays playing him straight up in the infield. Double play opportunity, but Hos wants to get something airborne. Think the opposite field, react in.
They'll take a base hit to right field. Zobrist will be waved home behind Escobar. The throw goes to third. Kane is safe. The Royals get 2 to make it a 2-run game. And Eric Hosmer has extended his hitting streak to 14 games. And that's the 3rd time today he's hit the ball hard against Burley.
Clutch hit. And again, championship caliber teams, they take advantage of the opponent's mistakes. Burley making that error to allow Escobar to get on base on a routine play for him. That got him going. And they're capitalizing here. You can't stop now with Morales hitting up there, 2nd in the American League in RBIs. Again, carrying his hot July into August 1st.
Oh. And now that's into right center field. A run scores. Hosmer goes to third, and now it's a 1-run game as Kendrys Morales drives in his 5th run of the series. It is 5-4.
Beautiful swing. This is how you handle Burley from the right side of the plate. You wait, and then you keep your hands inside the ball. He wants you to roll over on that cutter in. So you keep your hands inside and serve him that way. Change up away. Morales, he just waited and feathered it out there. That's an RBI guy. Look at that. Good extension, good contact. His eyes was right on it. He stayed down. Little bend in the back leg. Perfect. Keep the line moving. Hosmer with a good read. Ball took a high bounce on Bautista, so he's able to go to third base. Still with 1 out here, a chance for Salvi to add on, tie this thing up. Same thing as Morales, and Morales was able to hit that changeup away and down because he was thinking opposite field.
Hey, Rex and Ryan, I know this might not surprise you guys, but down 5-1 as all those players came in from off the field. Gerard Dyson, Johnny Cueto, a lot of the Royals on the top step saying, come on, let's go.
Not what the Royals wanted, but they'll take 3. And it all started with a Mark Burley error. Sports Kansas City are offering the Forever Royal Fan Express. The next stop is Lincoln on August 8th. A unique way for fans across the Midwest to enjoy a game at Kauffman Stadium. And fans in designated markets will have the opportunity to win a trip. Just go to Royals.com/FanExpress for more information. So it's a new game. Like the Blue Jays were going to run away. The Royals answer Toronto's 3 with 3. So back to a 1-run game. And Ventura with a fastball at 94. And a strike to Diana Navarro, who has driven in one of the runs.
Let's get back to leading that front shoulder right downhill so you can execute your pitches like the fastball and the curve. That front shoulder is the key for every pitcher, as it is a hitter.
Ventura can't get it. Navarro doesn't run well at all, so the Royals still have plenty of time, and Escobar throws him out. Yordano Ventura started the game retiring the first 11 with 1 strikeout. Pitching a contact, getting ahead in the count, low pitch count, and then with 2 outs in the 4th inning, the Blue Jays started a run of going 6 for 9 against him and scoring 5 runs.
Couldn't minimize the damage.
Now a strike to Pilar. 0 for 2 today. Curveball hangs high. On the ground to Escobar. 2 up, 2 down. As we promised earlier in the game, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Just tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag KC Data Strong Fan for a chance to have it featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Thank you, Courtney. Cutie Courtney 13. So I wonder if she sent that in knowing that we would show her Twitter handle.
I think so.
Cutie Courtney 13.
We're happy she's a part of our broadcast. You know, it's so important, infielders and outfielders, but not as important to know the speed of the runner that's hitting. That last play, Pilar, Escobar, you could tell by the way he picked up that ball. It's a routine out, okay, but Pilar, he hustles all the time. So look, watch him. He gets himself in position, gathers, and fires it quickly. Similar here. Got him. Nice inning.
Ventura bounces back and gets the Blue Jays in order with 3 groundouts.
Keep the ball.
Ventura had a better beginning than Burley did, but then Burley got on a roll and looked like he was on his way to his 12th win, just cruising along since the first inning when he gave up a home run to Zobrist. He had retired 15 out of 16, and then his error began a 3-run 6th inning. And now it's a 1-run game.
Hey, you see how the air changed that complex of that inning. Sometimes you can bunt on a guy like this. Burley's not overpowering. Ball's moving down. He's got change-up, cutters. Those are good bunting pitches, and that can also do the same thing as an error. Rios with 2 strikes won't try it, but the Royals have some good bunters and a lot of guys with infield hits and paying the corner on him there.
That's the second strikeout for Burley. You can follow Royals baseball with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet, which allows you to stay connected to the Royals all season wherever you are with the MLB.TV game of the day. In-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, you name it. It's the #1 app for live baseball. MLB.com at bat. Cuthbert didn't mean to do it. He is grounded to short and popped to short.
Change-up, cutter in on his hands and way in. Zobrist's approach when he went to the opposite field with that double is just what you want to do. Wait till the last minute. You try to overswing like that and you fall right into Burley's trap. Get you pulling your head, bat gets longer.
Over the outside to Infante. He is flied to center and flied to left. And now 0-2. One ball, 2 strikes to Infante. 2-2.
I timed 11.38 seconds in between pitches. By the time he let it go, he let his next one go.
He is always doing one of 2 things: throwing a pitch or about to throw a pitch.
That's right.
Bautista makes a play in foul territory. Stretch time in Toronto. Blue Jays lead 5-4.
Boston up 6-0, and then you see the rest of the action on the day. That'll be coming later this evening. As for that Boston game, they are hosting the Rays at Fenway Park, our Mazda game break, and this one will probably be remembered forever by Travis Shaw because it is his first ever big league home run. Comes against Matt Moore, who is getting rocked by the Red Sox.
Thank you, Joel. Let's see if Yordano Ventura can carry the 6th inning into the 7th inning. If you weren't with us earlier, Ventura set down the first 11 Blue Jays he faced. Then Toronto went 6 for 9 with 2 home runs, and they scored 5. Ventura barely got through the 5th inning and then had a very quick 6th inning. 3 up, 3 down with 3 ground balls. Goins is the number 9 hitter. He'll be followed by Ben Revere and Josh Donaldson.
But looking at Ventura's mechanics, he looks a lot better. He looks as good as he did in his last outing against Houston, where he pretty much shut down that powerful offense. He's not recoiling. He's finishing his pitches. The only issue he's having is too many fastballs in the middle of the plate with runners in scoring position. We showed you the numbers on him earlier. Well over 300 with runners on and with him in scoring position. Just not able to trust his secondary pitches with conviction. He's leaving it out over the middle with the fastball.
Kane was shallow, so it's a long run for him, but he catches up to it like he normally does. One down in the bottom of the 7th. A look at our sprint cuts of the game for Yordano Ventura.
Started out blazing. I mean, working that defense, just pitching to contact. You see the changeup, the breaking ball. Those are all excellent. But then it seems like this every once in a while, he picks the wrong guys to throw the pitches down the middle. The fastball, the hanging curve, and great big league hitters don't miss those. Especially a hot team like the Blue Jays.
Ben Revere is 0 for 4, 2 down in the 7th inning. And now Josh Donaldson, and I'm not going to say anything.
Well, he doesn't have to say anything either. He just lets the sound of the bat meet in contact with that ball make all the noise he needs. Loads up extremely well. Taken all the way there. Velocity, not an issue. We've seen Ventura at 101 today. And that free and easy arm action he's got, it's amazing how he can generate such speed. And the 98-mile-an-hour fastballs we've seen down low have extreme life to them, really bearing down and in on righties.
Donaldson winds up like he's chopping down a tree. Right?
He's got a good flamingo kick where he loads those hips well, and I got him there with an off-speed pitch, got him out in front.
So Ventura has had back-to-back 1, 2, 3 innings after the 3-run 5th. Still a 1-run game. Every day. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. The CN Tower. Now, our good buddy and our boss, Mike Swanson, Royals vice president, made a deal with his daughter, Rachel, who's here, that if the Royals beat Mark Burley, or if they win the game today, that he will take Rachel to the top of the CN Tower, and they will wear these big orange jumpsuits, and they will fasten themselves to a railing at the top of the CN Tower and just dangle over the edge.
Come on, Royals. I want to see that.
This is Mark Lowe, picked up in a trade with the Seattle Mariners, so he's making his Blue Jays debut. And the first two nights of the series, the Royals saw that young and impressive back end of the Blue Jays bullpen. Aaron Sanchez, Roberto Osuna. John Gibbons is going to go with Mark Lowe. Good slider. They're going to go do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh. Why would you want to do that? That's the tallest tower I've ever seen.
Look at that. I mean, and the wind is blowing. I mean, would you go do that?
No, I don't care to. Thank you. No, that one courtesy flight with the Blue Angels is enough for me. Lowe's got a good fastball, but he started Escobar out with changeup, slider. He'll go 90 to 95 with his sinking fastball.
Got him reaching. And Revere got a late break. Escobar is out number one, and now Ben Zobrist. And as we promised earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Zobrist in his first time up. Look at how he set the bat down. Got a lot of respect for you, Mr. Burley. I took you deep for the first time in a Royals uniform, and first home run this year right-handed. Liked it. Then he hit a nice ball down the right field line for a double. That Royals sixth inning.
It was just a matter of time for Ben Zobrist to come to Kansas City. He shared with us that after he was done playing high school, he thought he was done with sports. And he was on his way to Kansas City after high school to go to Calvary Bible College, which is outside of Belton. His father went there, his sister went there. They do not have a baseball team. But before going to Calvary, his high school coach convinced him to pay $50 to go to a tryout for some small colleges. And Olivet Nazarene in Illinois convinced him to go there and play baseball. And then from there to Dallas Baptist. But he was done playing, and there are hundreds of stories about persistent baseball players and hanging in there and pursuing the game. And this is the reverse. The game pursued Ben Zobrist.
How about that?
He finally has a Kansas City jersey. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Still 3-2.
Yep. Royals were able to get a hold of the most versatile starter there is, outside of Brock Holt of the Boston Red Sox. Good AB, nice little level swing. Good movement on lowest pitches. Sinker's working pretty good. Little run on that two-seam fastball. He's not afraid to mix in a walk. He's got very good plate discipline. See if this is out of the zone.
Hit to right field. Into the corner. Deep. Gone. Tie game. Ben Zobrist hits his second home run of the game, and we are tied at 5 in the 8th inning.
Could see Navarro calling for the slider, the off-speed pitch 3-2, and Zobrist off balance goes deep. Now for the on both sides of the plate. Oh man, that's some unexpected pop from Zobrist. Watch this. There was a slider down low. Heck, that's almost a booty home run. He kind of was off balance a little bit, but he just used his bottom hand to go down and get underneath of it.
Now Kane shoots it into the right field corner. Lorenzo Cain is on for a second time, and the go-ahead run is in scoring position with one down.
Zobrist really using that bottom hand on that slider down and in. Check him. He's going to go back. Little flamingo load with his hips. Look at how he's able to go down with that back leg right there, but he's able to catch this one out in front here with just that bottom hand. Excellent action right there. Going down and lifting it. And a nice easy swing. Not a power stroke. Just a, I'm going to meet it, catch it just right. Perfect timing.
And how good does that look on your television screen? He was not available last night. Wade Davis with a stiff back, and now he's warming up and hoping to pitch in the bottom of the 8th, but the Royals can get Kane to the plate. So you go from one hot hitter, one of the hottest hitters in the league in July, to another, and Eric Hosmer has already driven in 2 today with a single in the 6th inning. He has hit in 14 straight. And that's through the left side. Here comes Kane around third. Hosmer is driven in 3, and the Royals lead 6-5.
All started with 1 out this time. Usually the Royals, they capitalize with 2 outs, but right here it's going with 1. Zobrist going deep from both sides of the plate for the 2nd time in his career. And then Hosmer with a nice opposite field stroke. Waited till the ball got deep towards the catcher's glove and just knocked in Lorenzo Cain with another beautiful swing by their cleanup hitter.
And you mentioned Zobrist hitting home runs from both sides of the plate. That's one day after Mark Teixeira did it for the 14th time in his career yesterday. That was against the White Sox, and that's a new major league record. So Mark Lowe got a nice ovation when he was announced into the game in his Blue Jays debut, and now it is silent at Rogers Center, and they're working behind him with Aaron Loop, and it doesn't get any easier now with Kendrys Morales. He has driven in a run today.
Well, we watched Morales from the left side of the plate yesterday slice the corner of that third base bag for a huge 2-run double. So he's going to hit the ball wherever it's pitched. He's not a guy that's up there looking to pull the ball to the ballpark. Tough hitter when you have that mentality. Eric Hosmer had never faced Mark Lowe before that base hit.
Two and one to Morales.
Morales 2 for 6 off of Mark Lowe in his career, 4 strikeouts.
And that will get through. Hosmer's going to go to third because there was no third baseman with the shift. So Mark Lowe, he got the first out of the inning and now allows 4 straight hits. And John Gibbons paces in front of the steps of his dugout before Salvador Perez comes up.
That's the second time now on the base that Hosmer's made good reads to right field. Now this one, obviously there's no third baseman. Bautista was going to throw, but Hosmer said, you know what, I'll challenge you again and beat you. Royals run the bases as well as any team in baseball. And now Dyson is going to take over for Morales at first base, and you know what he's in there to do.
Especially with Salvador Perez at the plate, trying to avoid a ground ball and a double play.
Salvi grounded into his 16th double play earlier in the game. And that was in the 6th inning when they had a nice little rally going. But now we're in the 8th. 4 straight hits, some frenzy style hitting going by the Royals. Dyson will be off.
Ball 1-2 Perez.
Chance for some insurance here is highly likely because of the fastballs that Lowe's going to try to get up there in case he wants to throw Dyson out. Navarro is excellent with a 38.5 percentage of throwing out runners.
He's running, and Salvi pulls it foul.
You know, I don't believe that there's enough insurance runs you can get against the Blue Jays. Their offense is so dangerous that you get a couple of guys on and one swing of the bat, they're right back there. So this is an important situation here. Salvi wasn't exactly a good pitch. Couldn't take it. Let Dyson get in there and stay out of that double play situation.
Dyson not running, and Perez hits it into left center field. Revere doesn't throw it all. He heaves it all the way to the plate. Hosmer scores standing. Salvador Perez gets the job done, and the Royals have a 2-run lead in the 8th inning. So Mark Lowe has given up 3. He inherited a 1-run lead, and now the Blue Jays are down by 2. And Alex Rios with Dyson at first, 2 down. Inside to Rios. Dyson got a good jump. He is out. So Navarro with a quick release down to second base. Kawasaki with a quick tag, and that ends the inning. Bautista, Encarnacion, and Smoke, and they'll get Wade Davis in the bottom of the 8th. drove in 2 in the first inning. And today he's hit home runs from both sides of the plate. Eric Hosmer has driven in 3 to extend his hitting streak to 14 games. And the Royals, who are down 5-1, now lead 7-5 with Wade Davis on the mound. Today's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Brian Lefevre, Rex Hudler, Joel Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery. With producer Brian Shapiro, director Steve Kurtenbach. Associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson, Dave Holtzman, and the producer of Royals Live is Colleen Lotz. Wade Davis was not available last night because of a stiff back. And he comes on for the 46th time, having allowed 2 earned runs all year.
Pretty special. That's that cutter. Talking with him yesterday, to go along with that cutter, he's got a nice 4-seamer at 97, overhand curve, and he told me he's getting comfortable with a changeup now. And that's going to be a different look for him, as he's got a pitch now that's going to go into righties. We'll see if we see it at all.
Blasted into left center field, deep and gone. And that puts an end to a long string of innings for Wade Davis without allowing a home run. He had gone 125 2/3 consecutive innings going back to September of 2 years ago. And Jose Bautista ends that with his 2nd home run of the game.
Well, it's a fastball 97. It's on the outer half. Loads up well, comes right over the top, and that was straighted in the top of the zone. And I think Davis knew it, but he's only human. Can you believe that? Over 2 years he hadn't given up a homer. Tip your cap to Wade Davis. And I guess you got to tip your cap to Bautista too. That's a credible statistic you just read off there. Amazing.
It was the longest streak in the major leagues by almost 50 innings. One and one on Encarnacion. Yeah, if a guy's going to hit if he's down in the count and he's going to hit a fastball up there for a home run. Congratulations. Kane up against the wall for the first out.
The last pitcher on the Royals staff you would think that they're going to hit homers off of was Wade Davis, and now he just came just a few feet shy of going back to back off him. And that's a cutter out over the middle of the plate. Davis usually dissects the corners. Today he's a little bit out over the plate, but that ball stayed in. Lorenzo Cain, he was measuring it. KC had to climb the wall.
Justin Smoke with one out. Jammed him. Fair ball. Davis to the bag, and there are 2 down.
You knew that streak couldn't last forever. I mean, especially with the stuff he has. He's got a power fastball. You know he's going to miss once over that plate a few times, but to go that long in the American League where it's full of sluggers, that's an amazing feat.
125 2/3 consecutive innings without a home run, and the next closest was the Tigers, and now this is the longest one. Blaine Hardy, who's from the Royals farm system. Blaine Hardy has gone 77 1/3 innings.
That's amazing at this level. Best players in the world are here. Tells you how great Davis has been.
Deano Navarro is 1 for 3 with an RBI. Now, we've been telling you that the streak for Davis is a team record for a reliever, and you say, well, it has to be a team record, period, right? I mean, 125 2/3 innings. Nope. Mark Gubicza went 134 1/3 innings without allowing a home run. That is the team record.
And what's impressive about that is he was a starter. How does a starter do that? That is amazing. Guy out of the pen, it only sees maybe 3 or 4 hitters a time he goes out. But Gooby, he had an electric slider.
2-2 on Navarro. Oh, by the way, the home run by Bautista, that's the 3rd earned run allowed by Davis this year in 44 in the 3rd innings. 3 balls, 2 strikes. So his ERA has shot up to 0.61.
Wow.
Just foul off to the first base side. Broken bat.
Cutter in on the hands. He'll have to go get some new lumber.
Every weeknight, don't miss MLB Whip Around on Fox Sports 1 with highlights, instant analysis, and live look-ins from around the league. MLB Whip Around is weeknights at 6 p.m. on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Royals had a 7-5 lead when the inning began. Jose Bautista hit his 2nd home run of the game. And now Encarnacion and Smoke have been retired by Wade Davis. And Navarro grounds back to Wade. So the homerless streak is over, but Davis walks off the mound with the Royals still in front.
Waiter, there's a fly in my soup, but give me the check.
Jays had a 5-1 lead. The Royals got 3 in the 6th and 3 in the 8th. And Toronto just got a run in the bottom of the 8th inning. So a 1-run game to the 9th. A lot for Joel and Monty to talk about. Boulevard Royals Live after the conclusion of today's game. If the Royals win, we'll have a player of the game from the field. We'll get reaction from the Royals clubhouse, including manager Ned Yost. Highlights and analysis as Liam Hendricks pitches for a second straight night. He was impressive in his 1 inning last night. He ended up the winning pitcher as the Blue Jays won in 11 innings.
Liam Hendricks has found that extra gear as far as velocity goes, and we saw when he came in the game in this series and going 97 max with that heater. Sinks it, four seams it. Curveball and a changeup.
Rios drives it into right center field. Pilar from the sunlight to the shade, and Rios is 0 for 4. Now Mike Moustakas is going to bat for Cheslor Cuthbert. Moustakas otherwise got the day off with Mark Burley on the mound, and Moustakas is hitless in his last 10 at-bats. And there's another reason to put Moustakas up there. 5 for 8 against Hendricks.
Smooth's second opportunity this year as a pinch hitter. It's 0 for 1. So John Gibbons, bottom of the ninth, will likely see some of his bench. He's got Tulowitzki, Colabello, and Russell Martin. He's got 3 right-handed sluggers. You'll have to stay tuned. They got the bottom third of their order.
94 at the knees. 1 ball, 1 strike. So if John Gibbons makes a change, we'll see Greg Holland getting ready for Pilar, Kawasaki, and Goins, but he's probably not going to see those 3 guys. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Sooner you swing as a pinch hitter, the quicker you get in the game. If you're up there and you're taking, you still haven't gauged your swing on his pitch. Learned that from great hitting coach Hal McRae. He says you go up there and you swing at the first pitch and miss it by 3 feet. He says you're still in the game now. You're gauging your swing on his pitch, and you're in the game. Hal was an excellent hitting coach for me. Had him in 2 places, the Expos and the Phillies.
Ooh, got him.
That hurt.
Well, they've been trying to pitch him in, and teams are going back to the shift on the right side, and Mike Moustakas is drilled for the 11th time this year.
Yeah, that Charlie horse won't feel good. He's gonna have to walk that baby off. Picked out a thigh right above the knee.
How about that? You sit on the bench for 2 hours and 9 minutes watching your team rally and come back and take the lead, and get up there in a 1-run game in the 9th inning and the guy plunks you on the leg. So much for a day off.
Yeah, it's painful.
Strike to Omar Infante. He was 0 for 3 against Burley. Don't say this very often, but in a 1-run game, one big difference in this game is an error by Burley, and that hardly ever happens. Royals have scored 7 runs, 6 are earned. And on a ground ball from Alcides Escobar in the 6th inning, Burley bobbled it, threw it away. Royals ended up with 3 in that inning. It was the base hit by Eric Hosmer that put the Royals in front. So right now that would go down as the game-winning RBI, but that error by Burley was huge. Breaking ball down. And Hendricks strikes out Infante, 2 away. Liam Hendricks from Australia. Vermont South, Australia, about 30 miles east of Melbourne. Signed by the Minnesota Twins 10 years ago. Escobar after a high fastball at 94 miles an hour. One and one. It was such a rare loss for the Royals last night to have a 3-run lead in the 7th inning. But even more rare, and the Royals have 7 runs today. Royals scored 6 last night and lost. You know, they had won 70 consecutive road games with 6 or more runs. It's a second longest streak in Major League history. So they have 6 or more runs on the road again today. And Greg Holland, with a 1-run lead, will get the lower third of the order.
It's hammer time.
His 23rd save. This was the last time the Royals and Blue Jays faced, and that sent the Royals into the All-Star break. A strikeout, throw-out, double play. The Royals took 2 out of 3. It's been a wild one today, but nothing compared to that game before the All-Star break. Remember, the Royals scored 6 in the first, 1 in the 5th for a 7-0 lead. Toronto had 8 runs in the 6th. Royals 3 in the 6th. Blue Jays 1 in the 7th, 1 in the 8th, and then Paulo Orlando hit that home run in the bottom of the 8th, and the Royals won 11-10.
Oh, that was the wildest game of the year. Holland struck out all 3 batters he faced. And that moves over there at third base. Fastball, slider, split finger.
So Pilar, then Kawasaki, who by the way is in the on deck circle instead of Troy Tulowitzki or Chris Colabello. Wow, close. 2-1.
90 to 95 on the velocity. Has a 7 1/3 scoreless inning streak against Toronto dating back to 2012. So he's done a good job against the Blue Jays. Hopefully he can get these final 3 outs with no issues. Tough team.
Pilar has only seen Holland once before today, and Holland struck him out. Still alive at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Blue Jays have won 3 in a row. The Royals have lost 3 in a row. Holland lets it go. Infante throws out Pilar. And now here comes Troy Tulowitzki. Now, like Kevin Pilar, Troy Tulowitzki has only faced Greg Holland once, but in that at-bat, he homered. He has very little experience as a pinch hitter. When he's healthy, he plays every day as a starter.
Holland will pitch to his strengths. That's a slider down. And on the outer half, and strike 1 is his best pitch, he'll tell you.
Good to see that fastball at 96.
Yes.
Remember when he came back from the disabled list? Raised a few eyebrows. 91, 92, maybe 93.
Yep. He's had some good rest.
Hard slider in for a strike. 1-1 to Tulowitzki.
When he's on, he's hitting that spot with that slider.
And now Chris Colabello is going to bat for Ryan Goins. Tulowitzki scored the game-winning run last night in the 11th inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The home run for Tulowitzki against Holland was 4 seasons ago in Denver. Good spot. And Salvador Perez pointed his glove out at Holland. That's where he wanted it. A 3rd straight slider, but this one out of the strike zone. Off of his foot.
You know, as a closer, you know who they have on their bench. That's part of your job. When you come in and you're the 9th inning and you're trying to save a win for your team on the road, you already know who they got on that bench. So Holland had Tulowitzki, Colabello, Russell Martin. He already knew about those guys and the potential of them hitting if they got to the bottom 3rd. Just so happens that's exactly who he's facing, the bottom 3rd here with the Blue Jays, and he's ready.
Still 2-2. 95 with that fastball.
He's got to like his location where he's located. He's away, away, away. Sliders and fastballs. Not giving Tulowitzki a chance to get those long arms extended on a ball out over the middle of the plate and tie it up. Holland knows exactly where he wants to put it.
Sal gave that a long thought before putting the sign down, and a slider, and Holland started leaving the mound thinking he had a strikeout. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Good call. $37,932 have witnessed a back and forth entertaining game. '96.
It's good to see him commanding down. Best Tulo could do with that was just see a little ground ball. Of course, that looked like it was a little elevated more than I thought it was, but look at the pitch speed in this at bat here.
Fastballs 96, 95, 95, 96.
Yep, this is a tremendous at bat by Tulowitzki for a pinch hit. This is one of the best. And you could see that many pitches and get that many good swings off of the closer. That's impressive. It's like he's up there getting ready to hit a golf ball.
Backing out of play. He wears number 2. His hero on and off the field is Derek Jeter. And remember last year he was criticized by some media in Denver. He was in New York to have his hip flexor looked at. He had surgery on it, and he took in a Yankee game. Wanted to see his hero in person for the last time. Well, he earned that. Time run is on with 1 out. Colabello, and he's had a bad time as a pinch hitter. You know, when something happens in a baseball game, sometimes we look for the hero and the villain. You know, as if Holland did something wrong there. That was just a great plate appearance by Tulowitzki. I mean, Holland put just about every pitch exactly where he wanted it, and many would have swung at that last pitch.
Yeah, especially, you know, coming off the bench. Crowds into it. Well, he did a nice job of slowing the game down, did Tulowitzki. But Holland was able to execute, and you know what? Nothing, no hurt there.
Nope.
You got a guy coming up that's grounded into 9 double plays. Holland's induced 2 double plays this year with that slider that moves down like he just threw him that first pitch.
Line to right field. Tulowitzki will stop at second base. That's 3 straight hitters who had only seen Holland once before. Very little experience. Pilar grounded out. Tulowitzki walked, and now Colabello singles, bringing up Ben Revere.
And that was an excellent swing there by Colabello. Got the fastball, he stayed short to it, and went to the opposite field. Revere runs pretty well from the left side. It might be difficult to double him up. Now both teams down to their backup catchers as far as position players go.
So we just showed you Revere has seen quite a bit of Holland, and it hasn't been very good for him. If you could just get a ground ball double play from Ben Revere. There's the ground ball. Out at second, Revere. Very fast. Hard to double him up. And it will come down to Holland and Donaldson.
And wouldn't you know it? The most dangerous guy in their lineup right now. Hotter than a firecracker.
Up and away. Donaldson has driven in 7 in this series, including 2 today with a home run in the 5th inning.
Holland going to stay away just like he pitched Tulo. Similar hitters. Sliders away, fastballs away.
1-1. Now I know Holland is an all-star closer and he's throwing 95, 96. Do you even give Donaldson the chance to hit a fastball with what he's done in the first 3 games of the series?
I'm going to be very careful with that fastball if I do use it. Now, that's part of Holland's plan. As the closers, they're saying, hey, look, I'm not looking at your strengths. I'm looking at mine. They're thinking about what he can do. And Holland, when he spots that fastball well, he can execute it. But if he throws one like he threw to Colabello over the middle of the plate, it's going to get hit somewhere.
And with the way Donaldson's going, Holland could throw his shoe up there and Donaldson would hit it to Montreal.
Yep, keep it down and away.
No swing.
Just barely.
Chop to third. Moustakas throws. Game over, and the Royals hang on by their fingernails.
Woo! Hammer time. Got it done.
It is the largest come-from-behind win for the Royals all year. They were down by 4. And the Royals with a 3-run 6th inning, a 3-run 8th inning. And the Blue Jays and this city with so much emotion after the deals they have made to strengthen this team. Even with a victory, the Royals with the best record in the American League, I'm sure, feel relieved.
Oh, there's a big relief. You got to call the Mounties here in Canada. The Royals have a new bus driver.